So I was actually going to hold off on this. I decided to go ahead and do this and show this as a tutorial. I'm going to get rid of all of this so y'all can see me starting from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and make an enemy damager script. Jason, I want you to use this tutorial specifically so this way you can perfect it. Basically, I want you to take what I did and go above and beyond. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do a check. Did it get hit by an energy blast? So we'll say on trigger enter. This will actually be 2D. And this will be 2D. So what we're going to say is if other.gameObject.tag. So the collider, other. So we're checking to see if something had collided with it. GameObject. So any GameObject with the tag is equal to, and we said energy blast. Then is what we'll do. We will take damage. So this is the first thing we want to do. The next thing we want to do is we're going to create a public int. And we're going to call this let's just actually before we do that, let's create a public float and we'll call this health. Now let's call it current health. And instead of making a float, we actually make it an int. So we'll just set this up right now. Actually, let's call this max health. That'd be even better. This way we can set it within the editor. And we're actually going to want a new method group called take damage. This will be an int, and we'll check for the value of health. So in here is what we're going to do is we're going to say so we have its max health. This is where we're going to set it, and so what we're going to do is we're going to say max health minus equals health. So what's going to go on is it's going to minus the value that we give it in here. So if we say take damage, we'll throw in a value in here, and this is what we'll do. Additionally, we could also set up where the player gets a power up to make their energy blasts even stronger. That'll be for later on down the road. The next thing we want to do is we also want to play an animation when it gets hit. So serialized field animator, and then we'll just call this anim, which means now we need a start method group. We'll say anim equals anim dot get component of type animator. I'm going to get rid of this little space right here. One other thing I want to say, this will still compile. This will still compile. This will read the exact same as if there were no spaces. So don't think that spaces have to be like put into a specific order. In fact, I will save this right now. We'll go back in here. Watch this, guys. Look at that, no errors. So it will still compile no matter how much space you have in here. I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. The spaces is basically just to make it look easier for us to read. That's the only purpose of having a space. So anyways, back to this tutorial. So now every time the enemy gets hit with an energy blast, it's going to take damage. And the next thing we want to do is after we set the anim, we're actually going to say when you go into an idle state. So this is where it gets weird. And I do mean weird. So we're going to have a const string, and this will be called chompy idle. And this will be type of chompy idle. Well, we're also going to have other enemies. So string for frog idle, string for, I don't know, lizard idle. We're going to have several of them. That's all I'm trying to say. But we also know we're going to have, I'm going to give this a little space right here. Idle. There we go. So we also know that we are going to, we need a damage animation. So we'll say const string chompy damage, and that will equal chompy damage. Now, I don't know if this is what I'm going to call the animation yet or not. I'm just kind of like throwing that out there. One other thing we'll need is const string chompy death, and this will be chompy death. Well, we got most of them done, but I'm pretty sure if we get within range, we want the enemy to attack. So, const string chompy melee. And I'm just going to say ATK. I'm just going to call this one chompy melee more than likely. And we can change these later on. It's no big deal. If they have a ranged attack, then I'll show you how to do that as well. For now, I'm just doing melee attacks. So what if the player is within a certain range? Is what we're going to do is we need a transform player. You'll notice I'm not creating a serialized field or saying it's public or anything like that. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to find the player. So we're going to say, or actually, how do I want to do this? Yeah, probably just like this. Game object. I actually need to say go player, and that will equal game object dot find. We're looking for player. Then we'll say player equals go player dot get component. Component type we are getting is a transform. So now that we've gotten the transform, is what we want to do is we want to check the position. Update. And I know I said I don't like doing update. However, this is something that we're going to need to check every frame because we're going to constantly be moving. And so now that we're checking the transform and we are getting that, is what we need to do is we need to see if we're within a certain range. So the way we do this is we'll say if player dot position dot x. We can just also say regular position, but we're actually going to specify x. So we could be 20 units above it, but as long as x is close enough, this is what it's mainly concerned about. We're going to say if it's less than, say, 5 units, then we will debug dot log. You know, if I could type, that would just be awesome. Player is close enough to attack. Else if player dot position dot x is equal to or greater than 5. Debug dot log. Player is too far away. Alright, so the reason why this is all red, because I screwed up on my symbols, needs to be greater than or equal to. So, as long as this chompy right here has a script, we should see it do something. So I'm going to slap this bad boy on this real quick. We do not want a rigid body. We just want this as a trigger. So let's see if this works. Okay, that is good. That means that it's trying to check but it cannot. So let me see. This is, well, we don't have an animator attached to it yet. So quick and easy way of getting around that: if anim does not equal null. So all I'm doing is throwing that on there real quick. This way it will ignore the animator. Then we have this, which is at line 31. So let's go and see what line 31 has to do with anything. Line 31. So this is the update. Before it was a player position. So I'm guessing it didn't find the player, and it did not give it the transform component. So let's just see if we're right about that. If we are right, we'll start getting a bunch of errors down here. But more than likely is what happened. Yeah, so player is close enough to attack. Go ahead and get these. Player is too far away. Player is close enough. So is what's going on is it's using the position of the player. So if we click on the player, we are at x 1.2. And we're within the 5, but once we get here, that's when we get outside. But once we get right here, we're back within range. So we're actually using the local position of the player. However, we don't want that. So we actually need to get the transform of our own, basically of our own component. So what we're going to do is we're going to say transform, and we're going to say t self. T stands for transform. And so we're going to say t self dot position dot x. Actually, this is still going to pose a problem, because this is only going to be if it's behind it. At any point, if it's behind it, it'll say, yeah, you're close enough. And so we actually need to say -5, or we will actually copy this, Control C, Control V, if it's greater than this +5. Actually, I think I need the +5 over here, not over here. Same thing over here. And we can paste that there. So it's going to say if player position is 5 units away from this, then it'll say it's close enough. Otherwise, if it's greater than 5 units, then it'll say, nope, can't do it. So that should be fine, I think. I'm also getting super tired, so. And this can actually just be an else statement, because anything else in between, it should just completely ignore it. So, crap. Let's see what we got. So we need to be at least 5 units away from it, and then we can properly test it. So let me get dash. I'm actually going to make this a serialized field. And the reason why, because we can slap itself on there real easily. No problem. Alright, so I'm on player. Transform. Throw that on there. Oh, I have no idea if it's going to work. Jimmy tired. Player is close enough to attack, which I am not, but for the sake of argument, we'll say I am. Okay, close enough. Okay, so yeah, I definitely should not be close enough to attack. So we have this at 5 units. And I think that's what I need to do. So we can say if player position. Oh, give me a second to think about this. player position is less than the self position, I definitely want .x. Okay, so if player position is at 5 and this is at 0, I'm sorry, if player position's at -5 and this is at 0, then I want to be able to say, so I do need it on this side, +5, do it on the opposite side, and this will be -5. So I think that will work. I'm actually going to create a public float called distance, and distance we can do like this. Oh, okay. Let's see if I got this right or if I need to double check my numbers. So close enough to attack. Okay, I kind of figured that that would be the case. I should not be close enough to attack. Yeah, because distance is 1. We put 100. Put -5. -50? Okay, -50. So my numbers are backwards. -10, 12, 15, 16, 18, 20, 5, 30, 40, 35, 33, 34. Let me go this way, turn caps lock back off. Because right here, I'm going to say 10, 2, 3. Okay, so -3 looks like a good number. Let's see if it goes the same over here. And it does not. So Chompy is at 5, and the player is at -3. Oops. Let me go back to player. Where are you at? There you are. -3. So what if I change this to a 3 then? Where's the... Oh, crap. Change this to a 3. So I'm at -6 in the Chompy. We're still getting that, so let's try 10. Try 50. 100. -30. Okay, so they're all negative values. So even at -3, -4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 looks like our winner. Let's move closer, closer, closer. Okie dokie. So it looks like I have the idea right. I just don't have the execution right. So I need to change this to a minus and this to a plus. I know that's going to be the first thing I need to do. Let's set the distance to 3 starting off. So I expect it to be close enough to attack, which by the time I get over here, okay, so the Chompy is 5, the player is 2. There's 2. Okay, so once the player gets outside of the range I'm specifying, That's when it says, oh, okay, yeah, you're close enough. So this is 5. So this is going to be if the player is less than minus distance. So this right here works. But this actually needs to be inverted. If it's less than the self position minus distance, we want to say close enough to attack. We're actually getting the exact opposite of this. So when you say if greater than, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but screw it, let's go with it. So we'll save this, come back in here and test it. Don't code when you're tired, kids. It's bad. Okay, so right now it should say too far away, but it doesn't. And what was Chompy distance? Chompy is 5, player is -5. So see, this works right here, the -3. And that's out of 5. The player is out of 7. So I think we actually need a distance front and a distance rear. So we have distance rear, distance front. Then down here we're going to say, let's see, the player was greater, so this would be distance rear, and this one should be distance front. Save. Let's come back in here. This is where we start tweaking these numbers. So we want it to be just close enough for the Chompy to attack the poor old player. So we'll get saying that it's close enough. So I actually want it to be able to attack if the player is right about here. So we're going to say distance front. Where's it at? Why am I not? Oh, Chompy. Duh. Distance front. Let's say 10. Say 50. -50. Okay, there we go. So this needs to be a -3. Too far away. 2. Okay. So then we come over here. Player is close enough to attack. So now I'm going to say -3. Or wait, this one I think just needs to be a positive. 50. -50. Okay. -10. -20. -15. Is it just a regular 5? I don't think so. I know it's going to be a negative value. There we go. So distance rear appears to be a problem child. It's close enough to attack. So this is interesting. I know what's going on now. So we're always going to be less than 2 units away. That's why I keep saying it's close enough to attack until I get right here. That's too far away. So this actually needs to be inverted for the player rear. That's what's going on. So I believe the front was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, -3. So I had to... What the hell? No, that should have been the right one. Oh, what the hell am I missing? Player position needs to be less than the self position dot front. Do we need to subtract that? Because if this is at 5 and this is at 2, then I think we actually want to subtract it. And this one will probably want to be added. Because player position will be greater than self position all the time if it's in the front. So, no wait, this is the back. So, player position, yeah, the player position is actually, this does need to be inverted. Because a player will be behind it, which means he'll be going up in value. And so we'll look at self position and we'll add the distance rear to that. So if, say, this is at 5 and the player is at 6, as long as this adds 1 and this is greater, then it'll say yes, it's in distance. This will be the exact opposite. So yeah, this should be what we want. It should be all positive values. Should be. The other thing we can actually do is subtract this from the player position. So if I were to change this back to distance, Control V, I'm going to do the same thing here. So we have self position minus player position, which I should have made that add distance, but I can just make it a negative value in here, no biggie. Alright, so you come in here. So player's close enough to attack. Let's see, -50. 500. 5,000. 50,000. Okay. 550, 500, 50,000. I'm missing something. I wonder if it's surely not the distance rear that's registering. Is it seriously the distance rear that I have this set to? It is the distance rear because this is where I'm at. So I want to make this 3 units. Looks like I need to make it 2 units. 1 unit. Oh wait, this is close enough to attack, so... Alright, so 8 units. But now we run into this problem where we are too close. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm actually going to get rid of this OR statement. The more and more I think about it, I think I'm just screwing up with it. So we want to look at the player position. Want to make sure that that is going to be less than the self position minus player position. And we will say plus, this will just be a distance. I'm almost certain we can do it with just distance. But I'm going to keep it there just in case. So we're just going to use distance rear. So if we think about the math behind this, right now the player's at 2, this is at 5, so 5 minus 2 would be 3. And if we subtract from the distance, say it's 3 units, then it'll be too far out. But if distance rear is set to 2, it'll be close enough. 2 or less, it'll be close enough. But then if the player position is, say, -5, and this is at 5, well, 5 minus -5, let's actually set this up at 10. So yeah, that should work, theoretically. I don't know, I can't think right now, I'm too tired. I apologize, you guys. So I'm going to work with this code. When I finish it, I'll get back to the video. Alright, so I was too tired to even think about this, but I actually had a brain fart and realized that I can just simply get the distance. And we're going to do that right now. Close off these parentheses. So we're going to do, we need to do this inside the update. So we're already getting the transform of the something. Player, yes, player. We don't really need to get our own transform, so that can kiss our ass. So we're going to say float distance, and we can actually use a vector2 dot distance. So we're going to check the player dot position, and this will be our own transform dot position, and boom. And so all we have to do now is say if distance is less than, let's see, let's call this player distance. So if distance is less than player distance, then we'll say we're close enough to attack. Let's see if this compiles. Oh crap, I'm tired. That's what I get up. That's what I get for staying up kind of late. So we should be able to start off. This should, I think this will say it's too far away. Yeah, it's too far away. So moving closer. This should be registering. Here we go. Might need a little bit higher of a value. So let's try 4. There we go. Oh, that was interesting. There's too far away. So this is actually using the full vector. It's actually double checking both x and y, so this is probably a little bit better. So there we go. Joy, tired ass Jimmy, got that to work. So we're going to have a player distance. We need a or actually, we'll keep that like that. Then we're going to need something. We have player distance. Change this to attack. Player distance pursue. So this will be attack. Oh, I'm sounding like an old, boring professor. This will be pursue. Debug.log. We will say chase the player. But we also need to say no wait, we don't need to say that. And here we'll need to say it. Because if the distance is greater than the player distance to attack, then it will, or if it's less than the player distance to attack, then it's going to attack. But in this one, it can actually be close enough to still want to pursue. So we'll have to say and player distance attack is greater than distance. Yeah, so this way is greater than or equal to. So if distance is less than the distance that we specified to pursue it, and the attack distance is greater or equal to the distance that it is, I'm sorry, this actually needs to be less than, then is what will happen is it will, it'll just pursue. We'll have one more else if. This will be distance is greater than player distance pursue. Debug.log go to patrol state. Okay, so if I have done this correctly, I'm actually going to set the thing, so this is a 2. I need to set the thing to, that needs to be set to 2. I'm going to set this to, I don't know, 5 something. Oh, crap. Whoa, that was interesting. Oh, that's right, because I'm already having go to patrol state. Let's see, chase the player, and then close enough to attack. So it looks like the attack actually needs to be a 4, and this should be a 7. So player is close enough to attack, chase the player, and player is too far away. I'm going to actually increase the pursue distance to 12. Let's make it 10. Let's make it 8. There we go. That's better. So 4 and 8. That seemed like a good combination. And save. I'm going to submit this. I'm going to bed, you guys. I am really tired, so I'll see y'all later.